Are we actually going to wrap up this beautiful RC jet from Skymaster, the XL F4 Phantom, in this video? Yes. Yes, we are. Last video, we had just finished putting the wing on, and now it's time to test run these engines. So let's get busy. So we're ready to test run this aircraft fully assembled. We're here on our live right now. The live's up on the TV, and it's being recorded by that camera over there. So we're double videoing right now, but we are going to do the test run of these engines on this aircraft. We do have smoke oil installed in here too, so we'll do a little bit of that. And we're going to go through our normal procedure. So we did started them up earlier to make sure they ran and everything was good. But we're going to go through, we didn't do anything beyond that. So we're going to go from idle, let idle stabilize, slowly accelerate to max throttle. We're going to let our max throttle stabilize. I haven't turned the auto restart on and off yet, so I'm going to turn the auto restart on and we'll do those tests as well too. And yeah, check throttle response. So let's run these engines. So they're just in preheat mode right now. When we do the smoke, if you want to move that around, just so they can see more out there. Ready? Yep. Hit it. That might be better, right like that. Because we're on a bit of a dip right there.
Raise it up a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. Warmer. So we'll do restart now? Yeah.
didn't stay at full for very long because
No,
we're
she's
blowing
got
rocks
some.
everywhere. But
Oh yeah, this is gonna fly like.
yeah. So our servo, I'm just looking at our smoke servo setup here.
That's amazing how much came out.
Yeah.
Like it was completely out of my. I've never seen smoke like that.
So travel-wise, that was 50% travel. So 0 is off, 50% is where I'm at. So plus 50, you can go all the way up to plus 100.
I don't think you'd want to overload.
No,
with any more
I was
than
going to
that.
say actually for the F4 to make it more scale, it'd be nice to have it a little bit lower. All right, so we got the first part of our cockpits installed here. So this is the first look at everything put in place. So it's a bit of a process. Dash goes in first, slides too far forward. Front goes in, and there's a cross brace that gets screwed in from the bottom, and this just rests on top of the cockpit. Back cockpit, our sides get installed first, screwed down everywhere, and then the center section, as we've showed previously, just slips in and interlocks with this back tab right back there. So easy in and out, works good. We've got our randomizer here for our pilots also set up. So this is the randomizer from RC Geek. You can order these from Warbird Pilots when you order your pilots, and they don't come with this shrink tube on there. So I take clear shrink tube, install it. I mark my outputs for the signal side so we know what side is what. And then I take an X-Acto blade and I cut out our adjustment dials there. So we've got frequency, position, and rate. And those are all adjustable. So now this will get installed in the aircraft with probably double-sided Velcro, and then our pilots and everything will get plugged into this guy. So generally I'll find a spot for this to plug into. This goes into the receiver side and our pilots plug into this side. So from here we'll have 2 extensions go into each cockpit. All right, and time for some Jedi Tech 101. So we want our pilots, our randomizer, to operate in certain conditions. So here's what we did. I've already done this, but I want to show you guys what we did when we went through it. So first thing we did was go to Model, Function Assignment. We created a function called Pilots. Now L3, Logical Switch 3, we'll get to that. So pilots work on Logic Switch 3. Then we went to Servo Assignment, and we said port number 21 on the central box, 400 is for pilots. And then we go into Advanced Properties, Logical Switches, recreated Logical Switch number 3. Logical Switch number 3 says when SB, or gear switch, is in the down position and Logical Switch number 4 is met, then Logical Switch number 3 works. If we go gear up, doesn't work. If we turn Logical Switch 4 off, doesn't work. Then we have to go and create a Logical Switch number 4, which we've called Pilot number 2. And that says that if or the flap switch or your flight mode switch is in normal taxi mode or landing mode, it works. If it's in takeoff mode, pilots do not work. And then what we do, you can see here, so basically pilot 3 or logical switch 3 is blue X, logical switch 4 is blue X. If we go to regular taxi mode, logical switch 3 and 4 are both check marks. And then we went to fine tuning, we went to model, function assignments, and we said pilots are controlled by logical switch number 3. So now the pilots will only work when the flaps or flight modes are in regular mode or landing mode and the gear switch is down. All right, and some final adjustments here. We got our surfaces adjusted, elevator, aileron. We have our flaps adjusted. Those are done. So all that's done. Pilots as well too. They're installed, cockpit's installed, moving heads are active right now. And that is super cool. So basically, if you take the canopy off and you just pop the back of the seat, the pilot just comes right out. Obviously, you have to deal with his wire, but you can still stay hooked up and off to the side, and you get full access to all the electronics as far as the stuff that's in the back end. So that worked out good. The other thing I want to share with you is the reason that when you push on the tail of an F4 Phantom, that the plane feels very nose heavy compared to like a sports jet. So if you look at the green tape there, that is our CG range according to the manual. So the front part of that tape is 420, the back part is 440, and then they also say you can go to 450, but 420 is kind of the magic number for this plane. And you can see there how far behind the CG the wheels are. I mean, you're talking about probably 8 to 10 inches wheels to CG location. So that's a huge difference, and that's the reason why these planes do land so well. So when this aircraft comes down, touches down, it is stuck to the ground, and that's because there's so much weight on the nose. It's almost like you're flying the plane with the proper CG, but you're landing, no, not your landing, your ground movement on the plane is like a super nose heavy plane. It's pretty unique. So anyway, so that is our F4. So some of our final steps to complete: putting our tail cover on, getting our wing mounted missiles on. The fuselage mounted missiles are already done, like we talked about, the keyholes. All right, so we need to make some heat shields. I can't remember what video we covered this in, but there's some wires and tubing that goes right beside the turbines. So what we're doing is just taking some of these pieces of wood. These are actually from servo mount kits that we have on our website, just leftover pieces. And I'm covering these with 2 layers of the 3M foil tape, and basically sticking it on there, and that's what it ends up looking like. So these are going to get glued in place, basically just making a channel for those things to go by and get protected from heat. All right, so we got a couple routes we can get these fastened in place with. Now, these aren't structural or anything, so it doesn't need to be like crazy permanent, so there's really no reason to use Hysol. So we could use silicone for something like this. We could also use goop products, and I'll show you guys where these pieces are going. Basically, it's just going to go right along that wall where the blue line and the servo leads that are in snakeskin are routed beside the bell mouth of the turbine. So we only have stuff routed on that side, not this side. So we're just going to put those 2 guys like that, and that's just going to protect those lines from heat. Probably fine without doing this, but better to do it and not regret it later. And you know, obviously that blue line is not overly important because it's just for the chute, but you would not want to burn through those wires. All right, so that's what it looks like with our barriers installed. I just tacked them in place with some CA and then put a little fillet of shoe goop on the top and the bottom, and those guys are doing their thing. All right, now we're going to get our rear cover installed. This thing is pretty simple. So what you're doing here is there's little pieces of plywood installed. You can see it's a little bit thicker right there. So that's where you're drilling through. So you're going to put one there. On the back side here, there's an extra piece right there. So 1, 2, 3. So what I'll probably do is get all those screw holes marked out on our actual cover first. And then with those marked on the cover, we'll know exactly where to drill those and install screws. All right, rear cover is installed, and you can see there what I did was put some masking tape at all of our locations, and that told me where our screw marks were. So did that all the way around, and the cover is complete. So we can pull the masking tape off now. So that's a nice big step installed. I did have to turn the plane back on in order to drop the tail hook, of course, because the tail hook locks in the up position with the servo geometry. So that is done. I think I'm going to check the list, but I think it is time for a CG check. All right, CG check time on the Skymaster F4 Phantom. And for this aircraft, of course, we're using our beautiful piece of equipment from RC CG Machine. Absolutely love this piece of equipment. There's the website right there, rccgmachine.com. And this takes such a little amount of time to set up, makes getting your measurements and inputting it into the Chikoi CG electronic thing just a breeze. So if you're interested in this thing, I encourage you to check it out. There's people all over the world that have been using this thing since it came out now, and they saw it here on the channel and they love it. So in a case like this, I'm all by myself and I don't have a method to lift this big aircraft. So I just tuck the unit underneath the aircraft. So it's beside the front wheel, tucked in front of the back wheels. I lift the nose on top, and then all I do is go behind the aircraft, lift it up, slide it forward, and put the big wheels on the main cross brace there. Now I'm going to get my scales out and we're going to get them installed on the tool, and then we'll be able to get our measurements nice and quick and play around with our CG. All right, so we got all of our measurements done and everything looks good. Now we've got some interesting things with this aircraft. Number one, the range from the leading edge to the CG listed in the manual is 420 to 450. So you've got a 30 millimeter or 3 centimeter range of CG, which is that much right there if you're not familiar. So from the reading I've done though on this aircraft, it flies best at the forward CG point, so 420. So that's exactly what we've done here with our numbers. So in the numbers we've come up with, we've got 1249 between the mains and the nose. We've got distance from mains to CG is 260, so that is the forward, the 420, back from the leading edge point. Now if we wanted to use the back portion, this number would be 230. Distance from mains to weight placement, that doesn't matter. So what we're listed here as nose heavy by a quarter pound. So a quarter pound is about 110 grams is what we're looking at for nose heavy right now. Now this aircraft is in its current flying condition for landing. We don't have any fuel in the tanks, but the tanks are right over the CG. UATs are full though. So with an aircraft like this, because we are not shipping it with batteries and the aircraft will, it's getting airshipped. So what we need to do is figure out a number for the allowable battery amount. So right now with 4 3300 3 cells in the nose, you're about 100 grams nose heavy. So if we use the weight of just 3 of those batteries, we end up being, we'll just keep it simple and say a quarter pound tail heavy. So if I add 50 grams to the nose, we should be bang on our CG point. All right, so I've put 55 grams in this bag. We will put that right over where the batteries are sitting. Now let's check what it says on our screen. All right, so we're still tail heavy, so I'm gonna bump that weight up just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just gonna take my bag of miscellaneous weights here and add those to that location until we are bang on where we need to be. Now we can go a little bit on the tail heavy side too, because we do have a range, we're at the front of the range, but everybody says that the 420 number is ideal. Seems like we're sure getting close to the weight of that battery. Okay, bang on perfect. So now if you look at our screen, we are bang on 000. So now what we'll do is we'll take all those batteries out and the extra weight that we put in there, and we'll figure out what our forward number is for CG. Okay, so we're gonna turn our scale on. So each of these batteries, we'll see how much they weigh. There are 267 grams, and our weight is 145, 144. So if we add all of our batteries on here, plus our weight, so what this means is that we've got 948 grams of available battery. So we're going to mark this out in the manual. So to achieve the 420 CG point, we add 948 grams of battery weight. So what that means, if you're not picking up on this, is the owner has we'll just say 950 grams of battery weight available. So if he gets 4 batteries and they come out to weigh 900 grams, what he's going to have to do in order to achieve that 420 CG point is add 50 grams of lead weights to the nose. If his batteries come out at more than 948 grams, it's going to be more nose heavy, which isn't recommended, and he's going to have to add weight to the tail. So this just gives Frode, the owner, a perfect number to match with the batteries. So he's probably not going to go with this particular battery. I think Thunder Power makes some batteries, 3300 milliamp batteries, that are a little bit lighter. Let's say that this battery weighs 268 grams. The Thunder Power ones might weigh 200 grams for a 3300 milliamp cell. In that case, he'd be at 800 grams, which would allow him to add some weight to the nose and then be able to move it backwards. So my suggestion for something like this would be for generally somebody to get batteries that are bang on perfect or a little bit lighter and have to add a little bit of nose weight, because then that allows you to move the CG backwards. But yeah, so anyways, 950 grams of available battery weight, CG, done. All right, we totally forgot to get a weight on this thing when we were doing the CG. So obviously all the armament's off. The battery weight is in the front. UATs are full. Tanks and smoke tanks are empty. And we come in a dry weight of 59.75 pounds. So that is 60 pounds, we'll just say 60 pounds even. Now that holds 10 liters of fuel, so that's another 18 pounds. So that is 78 pounds fully loaded with fuel, and then you can add another 3 liters of smoke if you wanted to. So that would be another, just keep it simple and say 6 pounds. So that is 84 pounds fully loaded, ready to take off, 84 pounds. All right, and we got all the armament on the aircraft. Pretty cool setup for sure. It's actually not bad getting all the armament on. Obviously the pods here are keyholed. Center tank is keyholed. The missiles on the front and the back of the fuselage are keyholed. The drop tanks on the wings, those you need an Allen key for, but really only takes like less than 5 minutes to get it all installed. So great system for sure. So there she is. We're going to pull it outside and get some pictures with the aircraft. So we'll do our closing thoughts on there. A couple things that I really like is the aircraft rolls really well. I found we've got kind of like compressed asphalt gravel out there on our property. So it's not super firm, but this rolls really well on that surface. So anyways, really cool. So when we crate this thing, what we're going to do is we're going to split it at the back part of the fuselage right there. Front's going to all stay together. We're going to build a shipping crate based around the front. So we'll put a few other things in there, but it's going to be pretty much the front part of the fuselage. This is just some thoughts. Rear part here, the rudder's going to come off, and the rudder needs to go back on because there's a fastener from the inside before that gets reattached to the fuselage. Horizontal stab's going to come off, so those parts will all be quite small. And then we have our wings as well, so that second crate's probably going to be wings, rear part of fuselage, vertical, horizontal stab, armament, and the rest of the parts and everything. So anyways, that's just some thoughts for you. So very happy with this F4. Some of the things that have really stood out to me on this aircraft, number one, the quality. It's typical Skymaster quality. I didn't really encounter any outstanding or very large issues. Obviously the big things that we struggled with in this assembly process was the rear cockpit. You need to make it in pieces, and the fuel tanks need to be modified if you're using the CM Jets tank. and you want to keep it that way. I mean, if you didn't do the saddle tanks and you just did the main tank, it'd be a lot easier. So there's lots of variables there as well. So very happy with this aircraft. It turned out very well. The F4, especially the large one like this, really suitable for grass runways as well, which I'm always thinking about because that's what we have to fly on. So very happy with it. So anyways, hope the owner's happy with it. So let's get this thing outside and get some pictures and some closing remarks. What better spot to do our final wrap up than outside under the beautiful natural light? Man, this thing is cool. What a cool aircraft, and with the full armament, it looks spectacular. So we do have another challenge with this plane. We're not going to record any of it, but this aircraft is going to get crated for air shipping. So the goal is to make it as small as possible and compact and light as possible, but obviously still very protected. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series. It was so much fun to work on this plane. Very much looking forward to the large, extra large CARF F4 we have coming in the new year. We have production number 1 coming to the shop, and really looking forward to that one as well. So thanks guys for watching the series. If you have any questions or comments, list them down below, and we'll see you in the next video.
We hope you enjoyed the video, so like
and subscribe.
See you in the next one.